right next to it.
You're going to come what's called Sandra Times.
Step this way, man.
Someone swear or affirm testimony to give this case of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Please state your name for the court.
Sandra Times.
Ms. Tynes, where were you on April 22nd, 2015, around 7 or so in the morning?
In the parking lot of the Wal-Mart on Frederick Boulevard.
And that's here in the city of Portsmouth?
Yes.
Did you have an occasion on that day to observe anything out of the ordinary?
Yes, I did.
Please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you saw on that day.
Okay, I had come into Walmart, getting ready to go into the steps in the parking lot, and I saw, first I saw a police cruiser coming down the aisle real slow. When I say aisle, I mean the driveway. And I was wondering why he was going so slow, because there was nobody in the parking lot. So then I got out the car, and I bent down to put my shoes on, and I heard this commotion from these men on top of a building. And I looked, and I saw a policeman and a person struggling up. They were like tussling with each other.
Okay, let me stop you for 1 second. So when you say they were tussling with each other, can you physically show us exactly what you mean by tussling with each other?
Okay, they were face to face, and they were pushing each other back and forth like this with their hands.
Okay, so when you say tussling, you mean they were pushing?
Yes.
Is there anything else that they were doing other than pushing, or the extent of tussling, you mean pushing?
Say that again.
When you say tussling, and you just described it as a push, I'm just trying to clarify, pushing back and forth. Okay, so what I'm asking is, in that definition of tussling, is the pushing the only motions that you saw between them up to this point?
Yes.
Okay, so carry on. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
They were like pushing back and forth against each other with their hands. And then, excuse me, the next thing I saw, I heard a police officer say, "Get on the ground, get on the ground." And the guy and the policeman were still pushing. And on the last push, the police officer pulled his gun out, and that's when he said, "Get on the ground." And then the next thing I saw was smoke coming from the gun. And I said, he just shot somebody. And so I proceeded to go over to that area of the parking lot to see what had happened. And when I got there, it was a body was on the ground, and the policeman was straddling him like doing CPR.
Okay. Now, let's get a few things clear. That policeman that you saw, do you see him here today?
Yes.
Can you point him out for the court, please?
He's sitting there with the maroon tie on.
And I would ask the record to reflect, Your Honor, that the witnesses identified the defendant. And ma'am, you saw him on this day, and Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm going to approach you with the picture. Recognize this scene.
I saw this scene, but I didn't actually see the face because
Well, just let me rephrase that. Do you recall this area?
yes.
Okay. And do you recall this particular area right here?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm gonna, at this time I would move to admit these into evidence as comments, I believe, number 18 and 19.
Counsel,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, so shit.
May I approach the clerk, Your Honor?
You know.
And just while the clerk is marking those exhibits, ma'am, I'm just going to ask you a couple more questions. If you can tell me, if you recall, what side of that Walmart were you on? Or what were you near?
I was near the, in the parking lot, not close to the store, because there was no cars out there, and I was further down, closer to where it's a driveway, and you have to go around and go back out of the parking lot.
Okay. Which side of the Walmart were you on? If you were familiar with the different entrances, is there a particular side that you were on?
The market side.
The market side?
Yes.
Okay. And so you were on the market side. Do you recall how far away you were from this incident?
I'm not sure how far away I was, but it was nothing obstructing my view, so I could see straight across the Frederick Boulevard.
Okay. And do you wear any types of glasses for reading or any other activities?
I have them for reading.
Okay. Do you need them when you're not reading?
No, I can see pretty good.
Okay. 1 second. May I approach the clerk, Your Honor?
Yeah, ma'am.
And may I publish these to the jury at this time?
Yeah, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Tynes, if you look around, are you able to see the screen, or do you feel like you would need to get up to walk
I need
around?
to get up.
Okay.
Next step there.
Can you bring it to point? Thank you. Now, in this photograph, I asked you if you were familiar with this particular view of the area. Do you see in this photograph where you would have been at any point during this time, or what area you were in?
You mean once this is on there?
No, not once this is on there. I just want you to look at the general view of the Walmart parking lot. Okay, so that's right. That's where you said earlier, near the market entrance. Okay. And that's the general area that you were in and you were able to see. Okay.
If it's my car, you could probably a little bit further back this way.
Now, were you able to see the full body length of both of the parties?
See from the head to about here.
Okay.
I couldn't see the action figures. I could see.
Okay, Ms. Tynes, I'm sorry. You can have a seat. Thank you, ma'am. I do believe you should be able to see this one. Can you see this?
No.
You can't? Okay. May I approach her, Your Honor, with this photograph? So this has been published to the jury, so they've seen it. I'm going to show you this photograph. Do you recognize this person that's laying on the ground?
I couldn't see the face of the person, so no, I just saw the head.
Oh, all right. And so let's go back to what you observed with respect to the actual incident. Now, you indicated that you saw both sets of hands pushing,
Yes.
okay? And there was nothing obstructing your view, is what you testified to.
No, it wasn't.
And so when you saw both of these sets of hands, did you see anything in either one of these sets of hands?
No, I didn't until I saw the gun.
Okay. And you indicated that there was pushing going back and forth, and at some point the officer, did he stop pushing and then draw the gun?
When the victim pushed him the last time, he didn't push him back, he pulled his gun.
Okay.
And he said, get on the ground.
All right. And that last time the victim pushed him, you also saw his hands at that point, and there was nothing in his hand?
No.
Okay. I don't have anything further at this time, ma'am. Please answer any questions defense counsel or the court may have for you. Your Honor, may I approach the clerk with these exhibits? Thank you, sir.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you today? As I understand, were you shopping by yourself that morning?
No, I was by myself, but I wasn't in the store. I didn't get into the store.
Okay, so you were on your way into the store?
I just did, yes.
You had just parked your car and gotten out of the car?
I wasn't out of the car at first. I was sitting in the car, and then I got out.
But the first thing that drew your attention to any event was the police cruiser coming by you. And were you in the car at that point or out?
Sitting in the car.
You were sitting in the car. So the officer's car drives by, but you don't really see or pay much attention at that point because it's just an officer's car.
No, I paid attention because he was like one lane over, and
Okay.
he was going slow, but he could not go straight across, so he had to turn. And I was like, he's cruising mighty early. That's what I was thinking to myself.
All right. Shortly thereafter, you got out of your car.
Yes.
And is that when you bent down to tie your shoes or?
When I first got out, I did.
All right. And then the next thing that you hear, or the next thing that draws your attention, is a group of men that are yelling, making some noise?
Yes, they were working on that, what is now the Wawa.
The Wawa.
They were up on the roof of the Wawa.
Okay, and you heard them yelling. Could you tell what they were saying, or you just heard their voices?
They were making so much noise, I looked up to see what was going on.
And the first thing that you saw at that point between Officer Rankin and the other individual was some pushing or shoving.
Yes.
You had not seen any event that occurred before that time.
No.
So you didn't see Officer Rankin walk up to Mr. Chapman?
No.
You didn't see Officer Rankin put Mr. Chapman on the hood of the car?
No.
You just saw them pushing or shoving?
Yes.
And at that time, they were by the car when they were pushing and shoving, correct?
That's when I first saw them by the car.
And as I understand it, you're some distance away. I mean, you're much farther away than you and I are today.
Yes.
Right? Would it maybe about 100 yards seem about right?
I don't know how to measure like that, but I was clearly across in another parking lot.
And at some point in time, you actually met with not only the Portsmouth police, but you also met with the state police, correct?
Yes.
And you gave them statements about what had happened. And sometime in December, you met with an investigator by the name of Rod Budd, and you gave him some statements about what happened. And in fact, you met him out in the Wal-Mart parking lot and went through the scene with him, correct?
That was who?
Mr. Budd, do you remember him? Tall guy?
No.
Okay.
I met with two state police, but
Mhm.
I don't know if he was tall or short.
Okay, that's fine. Judge, may I approach the witness, please? Ma'am, I want to show you what's looks like to be a diagram, and ask if you recognize that, if you remember participating in the drawing of that.
Yes.
And in fact, does that have your initials and your signature?
That's my drawing.
That's your drawing. And you drew that for the Virginia State Police to show where you were located and where the police car was located,
Yes.
right? Could we move this to Defense Exhibit 3, please?
That would be two.
2, I'm sorry, my fault.
Fellowship.
May I approach the clerk? Is Mr. Lloyd assist me with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Ms. Tynes, this is what's been marked as Commonwealth's Exhibit C, excuse me, I apologize, Defense Exhibit 2. And we're just going to go through this briefly, okay? And as you could tell, in the parking... Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. If you could step down so you could see the picture. May she, Your Honor?
Yeah, I thought she was second.
Can you see that, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to point, is that where you've written down to where Ms. Tynes' view? That's where your car would have been? Right there? Okay. And over here you have, that's a police car?
Yeah.
And over here is the Wal-Mart sign?
Yeah.
And so you're here, and you're looking across the parking lot over to the police car, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. If you could return to your seat, ma'am, please. And the Wawa is to your right. Is that correct?
It's to the right of the Wal-Mart sign. not
Right.
to the right of me.
Right, the right of the, and it's, okay, it's to the right of the Wal-Mart sign. So at that point, when you look up and you see the two people, you could tell it's a police officer,
Yes.
and you could tell that it's a citizen. The police cruiser is between you and the two people, correct? The police car?
It's parked, yes.
Right. So it's between you. It's in between you, your view, and where the two people are.
Yes.
And so that's why you're not able to see anything that's below the waist.
Well, because they were toward the front of the car near the hood, so I couldn't see. Yes.
Okay. But you could, and you were close enough to be in a position to hear the officer say, "Get on the ground, get on the ground."
Yes, it was quiet, so I could hear him across the parking lot.
And that was prior to the time that you saw any smoke or recognized that any shots were fired.
As he said, get on the ground, the next thing, the shots were fired.
Okay. And that person never got on the ground, did he?
He hit the ground, he fell.
After the shots?
Yes.
Okay, but not before the shots?
I didn't see it, no.
And before the officer said, "Get on the ground, get on the ground," you did not see the officer have his weapon displayed, correct?
Say it again.
Sure. Before the officer said, "Get on the ground, get on the ground," you did not see the officer have his weapon displayed, correct?
He was saying that while he had his gun out,
Right.
he was saying, get on the ground, get on
Right,
the ground.
right. But before that time, during any of the shoving, there was no gun that was out.
No.
Did you see a gentleman that was in the area, an African-American man that had shorts and dreads on?
I saw him as I was approaching the car, yes.
Where is the first time that you saw that man on the scene?
He was running, he passed me. I was going toward the car, he was running toward me, toward the other way.
Did you see him at the police car?
No,
Did you see him next to the officer?
no,
Did you see him next to the man that got shot?
no.
And the first time that you saw him is when he was running in your direction.
I was coming one way, he was running the opposite way.
And how close would he have been to you at the first time that you saw him?
Close enough to tell me to stay back.
Okay, so probably maybe like you and me maybe, or closer?
When we were going down the sidewalk,
Mhm.
he was running, and as I passed him, he told me to stay back.
Did you ever see the gentleman, the men that were on top of the Wawa come down off the Wawa?
No,
And the gentleman that had the dreads and the shorts on, the African-American male that told you to stay back, he went towards the Walmart?
I guess, I don't know where he was going, he was running in the opposite direction.
Did you ever see him get into a car, a little white car at all?
No.
And you stayed at the scene to be able to talk to the police department, correct?
I didn't stay to be able to, I was there and they asked me.
Right, right. And you gave a statement to them right there at the scene?
They told me, I went downtown, they told me the state police was coming to talk to me.
And as you went to the location, you saw the man on the ground, and you saw this officer performing CPR on that man?
Yes.
All right, thank you, ma'am. May I return this exhibit, Your Honor? Can I approach the clerk, Your Honor?
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Just a few follow-up questions for you, Ms. Tynes. So we talked about earlier what happened, and you talked about with Mr. Broccoletti some of the other things that were going on in the area that you may or may not have observed. During this incident, what was your focus on?
To see what had happened to the person that was standing.
Okay, so while this was going on, you were focused on what was happening between the defendant and the victim in this case.
Yes.
And so you were then in the alternative not focused on the other people around and where they were.
No.
Okay. And Mr. Broccoletti asked you if during the shoving the gun wasn't out at any point, but let's clarify how long this actually was. Was this really quick or was this taking a long time?
The shoving, it was like maybe 2 or 3 shoves apiece. It wasn't a long time, it was short. And when the victim pushed the last time, instead of the officer pushing back, he pulled his gun right then.
Okay, how far out was that gun extended from what you can recall?
Not like this.
Okay.
Because they were face to face.
Okay. All right. So instead of another push, the gun was drawn at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And just to get it on the record, tell me, I know you showed us how far you could see. What body part could you see from upwards? So is it from the hip, from the torso? Where would you say you could see?
The torso.
So you could see the torso.
Yes.
And you could see from there up.
Yes.
And you could see hands.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Tynes.
But as I understand it, you're clearly focused on the officer and the man standing face to face.
Yes.
And when you were focused upon the officer and the man standing face to face, the African American male with the dreads and the shorts was not in your line of sight.
I never saw him until I started getting closer and closer to them.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
How many steps have we? Next witness.
Call Officer Mannings. May I call you on? And first, let me apologize. I referred to you as Officer Mannings, and my colleagues have chastised me because you are Detective Mannings. So, good morning, good afternoon, Detective Mannings. I'm sorry. And you are a member of the Portsmouth Police Department?
Yes, I am.
And for how long have you been a member of the Portsmouth Police Department?
16 years.
And were you on duty on April 22nd, 2015?
Yes, I was.
And did there come a point in time on April 22nd, 2015, where you ultimately responded to 1098 Frederick Boulevard, the parking lot of Wal-Mart?
Yes, I did.
And in reference to that incident, where were you when you first heard anything concerning the incident?
I was on my way into work, coming through the downtown tunnel, 264 West.
And what did you hear?
I heard a call go out for a shoplifter at Wal-Mart.
Okay. Then what did you do?
I proceeded to go, since the uniform patrol officers were responding, I proceeded to go to the detective bureau.
And did there come a point when something occurred that caused you not to arrive at the detective bureau?
Yes, I heard a call go out for shots fired.
And how long after you heard the initial call was it that you heard the call about shots fired? About?
Maybe, rough guess, a minute.
How many?
Maybe a couple minutes, I guess.
All right. And after you heard the call of shots fired, what did you do then?
I did a U-turn and went back on to 264 West, got off in Frederick, and went to 98 Frederick.
And approximately how long did it take you to get there? About?
Roughly about, maybe about 3 to 5 minutes.
All right.
And upon arriving there, did you, what if anything did you see?
Upon arriving, I parked and saw Officer Rankin run into his vehicle. I ran up and helped him start CPR.
Now, on your way to that location, or right at the location, did you see any other officers?
I did see Lieutenant Saucer.
You passed?
Coming from another direction, and I went back.
All right. Now, once you got to the location where you saw Officer Rankin was, did you proceed to assist him?
Yes, I did.
Did there come a point in time when you inquired as to whether or not he was okay or what happened?
Yes, as I was running up.
What did you say, and what, if anything, response was it?
I basically asked him what happened.
And what did he respond?
He said he was reaching for something.
And that was referring to the other individual?
Yes.
All right. And did you later learn the name of the other individual?
Yeah, Chapman.
Would that be William Chapman?
Yes.
May I approach the clerk, Your Honor? Oh, so may I approach the witness? Show you what's been marked as Commonwealth's 8 of evidence. And actually, if you recognize it, show me.
Yes, that's Mr. William Chapman.
Is that the individual that you assisted performing CPR on?
Yes.
And is he dressed similarly in that photograph as he was when you were performing CPR?
Yes, he is.
But you can recall at this time whether or not at the time you were assisting in that, whether his shirt was up or down?
I cannot recall.
And I show you what's been marked as Commonwealth's 7. And you recognize that as a close-up of the 7th?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I see some equipment around here. Did you produce that equipment, or was that from the medic?
I believe this is all from the medic. The resuscitation mask, probably the one that we use.
While you were there, did you observe whether or not the medics gave any assistance to Mr. Rankin?
Not that I know.
Okay. May I approach the clerk? Thank you. You may ask any questions they may have.
Good afternoon, Detective Manning.
Good afternoon.
When you arrived on scene, where did you say Officer Rankin was?
He was running back to his car when he retrieved the resuscitation mask and we began CPR.
At the point that he ran back to his car, did you see if he had gloves on or not?
I didn't notice if he had any gloves on.
I'm sorry.
I didn't notice if he had any gloves on.
Do you recall Officer Rankin asking you to take over for chest compressions?
Yes.
And that was as he was going back to the car?
Yes.
Did you see at that point what appeared to be blood on Officer Rankin's hands?
I did not notice.
And you said Officer Rankin went back to his car to get a CPR mask?
Yes.
And you said he ran back there.
Yes.
Did he actually bring the CPR mask out?
Yes, he did.
Did he give it to you, or what happened with the CPR mask?
I can't recall, but we did use it for doing the CPR.
When you say we, you're referring to you and Officer Rankin?
Yes.
And you and Officer Rankin performed CPR until the medics arrived?
Correct.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Any further?
You may cut down the back. Next witness.
Yeah, may we approach briefly? Thank you.
By members of the jury, we have to take a short recess. Put this down, fail. Okay? Then we'll charge to the jury. All rise. You may proceed, the court is now in recess.